Hello, Guru Nation. Welcome to another episode of Random Musings from the Clinical Trials Guru. Welcome if you're watching on YouTube. Welcome everywhere else as well. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Only 1 out of 4 viewers are subscribed, which is not a good thing. Okay, only 2 out of 8 eyeballs are subscribed. So we need the other ones to be subscribed because we need to spread awareness about clinical research. We need to all connect with one another. One of the things I really liked about doing the live streams, and I'm going to introduce Michelle because she introduced me to Clubhouse, but the live streams have helped people who watch, so obviously there's similar interests, connect with one another. And I think Clubhouse does this on an even higher level. And Michelle Blue, research nurse coordinator, RN, BSN, the ideal, let me tell you, the ideal CRA. They RN, BSN, automatic, okay? UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham, right?
Yes.
And my Clubhouse originator, the one who put me on to Clubhouse. Thank you very much, Michelle. How's everything?
Everything's good, Dan. Everything's good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm enjoying the networking. I know, well, I guess before we get into your career, let's talk about the current events. So you saw a post I put on LinkedIn about networking, the importance of networking,
Yes.
and you're saying you're already getting hit up and getting like tons of opportunities because of LinkedIn.
Right. Right. I want to stay at my current job right now. I mean, full time, but I was kind of looking for a part time opportunity, and so recruiter reached out to me and was looking for a research nurse coordinator to help with data entry, and it worked out. I got it, and we interviewed. Did well. I was a little nervous, but she said, they want to keep me on till next year, part time.
Wow. Perfect side gig.
Perfect side gig.
And is this the first time you had like a side gig?
Yes, it is.
Hmm.
So, when I was at the bedside, Dan, us nurses, we work 312s and you can get overtime. You can pick up extra shifts, but
Yeah.
when I transitioned to research, it's salaried. So, can't really do a whole lot of, you know, uh, nursing
extra
shifts.
extra streams of revenue. I think it's so important. I think this topic alone is so important. I need to do like a separate podcast just on this because I
Really.
really believe we're on the brink of a very lucrative decade in our industry. A lot of it is due to coronavirus. I mean, I think COVID exposed a lot of weakness, and I think the industry is adapting. I think the industry, first of all, everyone's talking about this vaccine, but nobody's talking about the fact that it's a paradigm shift. This is the first time, and you know better as a nurse than me, I'm just a talking head. This is the first time a synthetic mRNA is being used to make the
Yes.
vaccine, right? This is like a paradigm shift, right? Am I right?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So I
Absolutely right.
I think vaccines are changed forever because of COVID, right?
Yes.
Not to
Yes.
mention everything else that's changed, hybrid trials and making patient centricity. And then a whole other thing happened during the 2020, which a movie has to be made about 2020 at some point. Maybe in 2040, they'll make a movie about 2020 for everyone that wasn't around. But social justice, right? All the um, march, for equality. So that's trickled down into research now. Now, what is the
Yes.
industry pushing, right? It's DE&I. So diversity, equality, and inclusion. I'm seeing
That's right.
every single CRO talk about this. Every CRO that wants to be relevant
That's
talking
right.
about this, and hopefully more than talking, I see some putting things to action. I can
Oh,
attest with Latinos in clinical research. I know with Danielle, with Black women in clinical
that's
research.
right. That's right. Shout out to Danielle Coe.
Big shout out to Danielle Ko. She inspired us to do Latinos in clinical research. I
That's
actually
a
asked her for permission when I interviewed her. I said, "Would you mind if we did that?" She said, "All the more the better."
yeah. Yeah. Shout out to her. She's sharp. She's pretty sharp.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
she's somebody to get to know. So are you, Michelle. So we gotta,
Oh
LinkedIn, as you
God.
can tell, okay, Michelle RNBSN is getting side gigs now because of LinkedIn. You're not doing anything really special on LinkedIn, are you? Like, are you commenting on people's stuff, or like, what is your strategy for that?
You know what I do is I may like some posts. I may share some posts. I
Okay.
like a lot of your posts, Danielle's, but if something is catches my eye, I'll just share it. I've been sharing a lot of leadership posts. Um, but yeah, I don't know, I've just been taking off. I
Do you
just
think that's what attracted them to you, like the recruiters?
Maybe because I think on LinkedIn, people can see what you like or you
Mm-hmm.
share. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of strikes a curiosity. Oh, let's see what this person is. And
That's right.
they're checking out your profile. So
Yeah, I'm checking it out now and I see you sharing, commenting, sharing, sharing. So yeah, see guys, you don't even need to create the content. You just share, you like. I mean, it's very practical. When I make these videos, people say, "Well, I don't want to do a video." And you don't have to. You don't have to go as far as like me and other people like Danielle. Michelle sharing, and it's all genuine too. She's not doing it to game the system,
no,
right? It's just a pleasant side effect that you've experienced from doing that.
right, right. And the thing is, I think you often say how we have to invest in our career. Danielle talks about that too. And just connecting with other people and doing little things to make yourself more knowledgeable in your career, it just goes a long way. You know what I mean? Like looking at listening to podcasts, looking at posts, reading. You guys are so approachable. I mean, I think us in clinical research, we have an advantage. Everybody in clinical research is so approachable. From my experience, you reach out to people, they want to help you. Um, just we're very people oriented, because we have to work together because we're trying to accomplish, you know, uh, for the greater good. So um, our industry is awesome. I mean, it really is. It really is. And I mean, I think for those who want to get in the industry, just reach out to Dan, reach out to Danielle, just network because I think you can reach out to me. I'll help.
Link
Um,
underneath the show notes, by the way.
I mean,
Link to
I'm
Michelle's
very
LinkedIn.
approachable. You have any questions, especially nurses that are trying to get into clinical research.
That's a big market in and of itself. I remember during the pandemic, we had like daily meetings and you would join some of them. And I remember you brought this topic up. I don't know if you remember, but I remember, Michelle. I remember the day you came on and you talked about it. How do we get more nurses interested? Because you're an RN BSN. What made you, and this is a good segue to get into your career, but what made you think of research?
It's funny. I had a friend actually talk to me about research because I really didn't know that nurses could do research. Had no idea. And I think a lot of nurses don't know that this is an opportunity. They often think, well, do I have to have my master's? Do I have to have my PhD? And no, but I got in from a friend. I was curious. She said, "Oh, you'll be great. You have to coordinate patient care. You're great with patients." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And at the time, I was a procedure nurse in the EP lab, and so I transitioned to doing cardiology studies, and it just grew from there. I learned a lot. I made a lot of mistakes, but I grew a lot.
Yeah. So what do you think, like, what do you think the challenge is for other RNs and BSNs to consider research? Because there's a shortage of CRAs, there's a shortage of coordinators. I mean, there's a shortage of qualified professionals, and in my opinion, no one's more qualified to be a CRA or a CRC than an RN BSN. I mean, those are the best. You want to talk about the best monitors? I always say the best monitors are former coordinators, but
Mhm.
I also think the best monitors are RNBSN because you can't get anything past them as a site. You're not fooling them with ConMeds or anything. AEs, you're not fooling an RNBSN. What do you think
We're
about this?
we're definitely going to be asking questions. I mean, I think for nurses, it's because I had a hard time transitioning from going from like the 312s to every day. You have a lot of flexibility in nursing.
Hmm.
If you're a mom, you work 3 days and have 4 days off.
Hmm.
Well, that's not like that in research. And also too, it's a lot of paperwork. You have to have a special you gotta love being able to dig in records and going through things, and you gotta be able to like that. And so the challenge is just that transition, I think, for nurses.
What about the discovery, though? I mean, what can we do better? Maybe it's having more groups like Black women in research or Latinos in What do you think about like just informal networking? This is supposed to be what SOCRA and ACRP were designed to do, and they've evolved into huge organizations. But I think there's power in small and
Yes.
grassroots. So, what do you think of like the awareness issue?
The awareness issue. What can you explain? What do you mean?
Yeah, like nurses, I mean, I know it's medical and I know nurses know what research is, but I don't think many nurses are aware that they can have a career out of this, right?
That is true. That is true. And I think they don't know what research is. Like, what do I do? Like I talked to so many nurses last year, that were thinking about coming off the floor, and they're
Mhm.
like, well, what's a day look like? How can I transfer my nursing skills to research? That's another thing. Am I sticking patients? Am I collecting blood? You can do all that.
Mhm.
Nurses are advocates for patients. You're doing that in research as a coordinator. You're making sure, they're getting what they need. You're coordinating care. um, so, I oftentimes tell them that your skills at the bedside, which your skills often transfer over to research in a huge way.
RNs, BSNs, like that's more evident than any other background. I tell anyone who joins CRA Academy that's RN, BSN, I say, look, I don't tell any of our students this except RN, BSNs. You will get hired uh, within 3 months of our course because once you throw in just a little bit of experience on top of it, they know that they
Yeah,
don't have to teach you medical terminology. You're gonna learn the
right.
protocols quickly. All you got to learn is the basics, and if you take a course and you learn that and you demonstrate even through an internship, it's like this. We've seen it happen over and over and over again.
That's true. That's true. I agree.
And I'm very
But I'm
excited for
always
your.
learning.
Yeah, no, you
I'm
got to always be learning. I mean, this.
always learning.
And then Clubhouse, for networking, Clubhouse has been amazing. Thank you for putting me onto it. I think the opportunity to network, and I'm very excited about your career because you have coordinating background, which I've said, and sponsors and CROs would agree with me, make very good CRAs, and you have RNBSN, which also makes very good CRAs. You have both of those together, and you've just discovered the art of the side gig. So I'm very excited for you, Michelle, because I feel like you just took the red pill in Matrix. I don't know which one was the good one, where you're aware, become aware. But I feel like that's what's happening with you and a lot of other people right now with social
Yeah.
media. And really, social networks have hit their prime. And,
Yeah.
you could use it to waste time, but you can use it for productive things like you're doing, and you're starting to see the benefits, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, and let me add, like, not just be on these social networking platforms, but actually reaching out. It's all about relationships, right?
Hmm.
I mean, you got to build relationships in healthcare research. Especially in research, it's all about relationships. You may work with somebody um, that works at a company. You may work with them last year and you're like, okay, we won't probably cross paths again. You never know. You never know. Am I right, Dan? You
You're
never know.
absolutely right.
They may be a monitor at this, company, and next thing you know, you transfer and they're a monitor at the research that you're doing. So,
I'm
it's
laughing because just yesterday I saw a former CRA. I'm not gonna mention her name. I didn't have a problem with her, but she used to back in the day, like oh 08, uh, monitor one of my sites, and she and my coordinator did not mesh well from day one. So I was often in the middle, and of course I'm gonna side with my CRC, but I was trying to always be peacemaker. And I just looked on LinkedIn yesterday and I see she's become like a Clubhouse influencer. So and guess where I'm trying to be all the time. I doubt she remembers me. Maybe she'll remember remember my last name, but she definitely is gonna know the coordinator. So that just goes to show you what you just said, Michelle. It's a small industry, but
it is.
at the same time, it's big because it's very lucrative. There's a lot of money flowing through it. There's a lot of
It is.
opportunities, but it's small. Like there's a shortage of people, and who is a CRC one day may become like somebody like director level at a biotech. I mean,
Right.
in a decade or less.
Right.
And I think this decade we're gonna see that even shorter time frame.
So
So
relationships, people,
yeah,
don't burn your bridges.
don't burn them. I got close, but I didn't burn that one. But my coordinator did, and I still deal with that coordinator. I was actually gonna screenshot and send it to her. Uh, I might do that after this interview, but
That's
my coordinator doesn't care about Clubhouse, so I don't think it matters.
right. Oh God. But I often tell coordinators, like, we just hired a new coordinator, and I tell her, your the monitor is not your enemy, right?
Mhm.
They're there to help you. You're there working together. So if you can develop a good relationship with your monitor, and not see it as a negative, but see it as they're there to help you get this study
Mhm.
together, make things smooth running, um, you'll be better off. You'll be better off.
Absolutely right. Excellent
You know,
advice. And I think the opposite side of that coin is true. If you're monitoring, and I know things are stressful, and I know sponsors are giving you unrealistic demands, and it's easy to take out your frustration on a coordinator. But
yeah.
do you know how many monitors from the past who monitored me? And 80% were great and didn't have any issues. But do you know how many of those reached out to me later and said, "Hey, you know what? Are you guys hiring? I'm looking to transition out of monitoring and become like a
Mm,
consultant for sites." So,
oh,
vice
wow.
versa is true. Like if you're a monitor, I know it's easy to unload your frustrations on a coordinator, but don't, because you might need them at some point later on down the road.
That's true. That is so true. That's so, like I said, relationships.
That's all. That's what it's all about. Uh, so yeah, this side gig, I think there's gonna be something here, and there will come a point, especially someone like you. I mean, what are your goals for the future? Because I've noticed you're right at that stage too. 6 years at the UAB. Like, what are your personal goals, if you want to share any, as far as your
Oh,
research progression?
I would I want to get certified to become a clinical research professional, certified
Okay,
clinical research professional. So I want
ACRP.
to. Mm-hmm. definitely want to do that, and maybe long term become like a project manager. I
Okay.
really like working with people. I like getting the team together and saying, okay, this is what we got to do. Because right now, my present job, I have to deal with so many departments because we do bone marrow transplants, gene therapy for sickle cell
Wow.
patients.
Wow.
So I love having to collaborate with people to get things done for the sake of the patient, for the subject. So it, and when you get it all together, it's a beautiful thing. Right.
Wow, yeah, gene therapies interest me. I gotta show you guys. I'm gonna pull up my Audible while we talk. But this book I just downloaded, The Code Breaker by Walter Isaacson. It just came out today. It's about the lady who founded CRISPR Therapeutics,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's like the biography of her and her journey. And I'm fascinated by CRISPR myself, like the technology. My dad first put me onto it,
Oh,
and
wow.
you know when your parents tell you something, you listen, but you don't really pay attention. But then somebody else told me too, another doctor, and I was like, okay, there's something here. So I started looking into it, CRISPR, and then I stumbled into Kathy Wood, who's like the investor. She's like the millennial Warren Buffett for, and she's a huge fan of gene therapy. So I'm like all of a sudden super interested in gene therapy, CRISPR. I know you can't talk about specifics with what you're doing, but I think that's amazing place. You have the perfect storm of things lining up for you, Michelle. I'm even more excited about your career now. I want to be your agent. Can I be your agent?
Just be there for me. I might need a mentor, Dan. So
Okay, okay. I'll take that. I'll take
my
that
sounding
because
board.
you've got the experience now. I mean, this is what the next decade's going to be all about, gene therapy, right? I mean, I think that's going to be a huge part of the next decade.
Well, I have a really passionate PI. Shout out to I'm a Dr. Julie Cantor. She's well known in the sickle cell community.
Hmm.
So learning a lot from her. She's very passionate, very driven. And when you are working with a PI like that, you got to step your game up.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got to step your game up. But it's good, and she's a great teacher and just doing great things. So
Wow.
um, keep your eye out for her because,
Oh, yeah.
she's doing great things. It's awesome.
Is
We're
she on
excited.
LinkedIn? I might need to connect.
You know what?
Um,
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know if
Those
she
key
is or not.
opinion leaders are tough to get a hold of online. They're the ones that don't need social media because they already have the sponsors coming right to them. They don't need LinkedIn.
Yeah,
It's just
and
us
that's
other people that need us normal people need LinkedIn. That's amazing. You have like the perfect storm of things lining up to for your next phase of your career. You're gonna do whatever you want to do, in my
oh,
opinion.
okay. All right. Well, we're going to talk offline about that.
Yeah, I wasn't even aware that you're doing gene therapy now, and I probably could guess which sponsor you're working with because sickle cell. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I got it right. Uh, so what do you do? How do you do your day job? Like, what is a typical day for you as a coordinator at a big academic research center?
Oh, well, for the studies that I have now, so when I was in cardiology, a typical day, I did a lot of recruiting. I worked with the PI, did a lot of recruiting for a lot of those studies. So
Okay.
screening, and then if we saw a potential patient that fit the criteria, I would go talk with them in clinic to see if they were interested in the study. And then from that point, scheduling, screening visits and labs and talking to the PI. But in sickle cell, um, it's a lot of data. So the
Mhm.
PI, like I said, she's very driven. She basically knows who she wants to be put in these studies. So she does all the screening and the consenting. And then what I do is, coordinate screening visits, labs. I've never processed my own labs, but now I do.
Oh,
So
now you do. So you get IATA certified.
I got IATA. So I need to add that on my profile. Yes.
Yeah,
So
you're a true
I was
generalist at this point.
I was a little intimidated, because I got spoiled when I was in cardiology. I just have to drop the labs off. But now, I can spin some labs and,
You're
pipette.
literally doing everything a coordinator, like literally everything a coordinator can do, you're doing.
And you know what? It's good. It keeps me from getting stagnant, right? Like
Yep.
I don't like to be stagnant.
Yep.
So getting going through the screening process, con-med logs for these patients are a lot. Data management, staying on top of the data for these patients is a lot. Actually, the monitor, I have a monitoring visit like every 6 weeks.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds like
That's
me. I
it.
monitor a AMC, a large one also for a cancer study, and I'm supposed to go, well, now I go virtually, but every 6 weeks.
Yeah. So staying on top of that.
How's that working
And
for you guys? Are you over there in Alabama? You guys open like patients coming in, or you're doing like virtual monitor patient visit? How's that working?
our patients come in, but the monitors are not allowed on site.
Oh, they're
So
not. Okay.
it's all virtual.
Okay.
It's all virtual. So, and that's a lot, Dan.
Yeah. That has its own challenges. You've got to scan it. Who's scanning all the documents? Is that you? So you're literally doing everything. You guys use probably like a box. What do they call that thing? Red box or red
Oh,
cap?
box.
I don't
No,
know.
we have box. So
Okay.
yes. So
I knew it was
very
one of those
interesting.
two. Yeah,
Yeah.
I prefer, I mean, we did an informal poll through Latinos in Clinical Research. I'll do another one on the Zoom meeting today. Hopefully you can join if you have time at it'll be what, your central time? That'll be
Yes.
for your time. Um, if
Okay.
you can, but I'm gonna do an informal poll again during the Latinos in Research Zoom call. But like 80%, and there were sites and CRAs prefer in-person monitoring visits.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah. So I think we missed that. I think virtual visits is something that looks great on paper. Um, it's kind of like socialism, not to get too political, but socialism looks great on paper until you realize that it's actually capitalism for the ones who are in power. And then you realize, okay,
Mhm.
this is not working like it does on paper. And same thing with I think virtual monitoring. Like it sounds
Yeah,
great, but it opens up other problems that you weren't even aware of before. So that
you're
I
right.
think just wanted to get your thoughts on that because you're in the day to day with this kind of stuff.
And it just it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time versus, when the monitor comes on site, I feel like, you know, they know what they want to look at. You're there to answer any questions. I think they could just get it done. But when it's done virtually, it literally it's more work, more time.
Hmm.
Good thing is though, I've really gotten to know my monitor better. I feel like we're best
Oh,
friends.
better now.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
like we call, she has my cell phone, I have her cell phone. So we're like
Wow.
BFFs.
You don't
Yeah.
think that would have happened like in person?
I don't think so. I don't
Hmm.
think so. I
Interesting.
mean, I think we would have still had a good working relationship, but now that we have, because we're communicating more, right?
Interesting. Okay.
So I think it could. I try to look at the positives. So
Yeah.
although virtual monitoring is more work, I think it builds better relationships for the coordinator and the monitor.
Yeah.
Just my
Okay.
experience.
No, that we need your experience. We need more experiences like that. So I guess as we wrap up, because I know you gotta go, Michelle, but thank you for your time on this impromptu interview.
Thanks,
Uh,
Dan.
what are your thoughts on gene therapy just so far? Like you have like a year of doing it now, as of the time of this recording. Like, what are your thoughts on it? Are you optimistic about this, or I know we're
I
just at
am
the beginning of it.
I am very optimistic and very excited, especially for this patient population. But I think gene therapy is definitely going to be the wave of the future. Um, you know, I could see it in cardiology and other RA. autoimmune disorders.
Mm,
I think it's here to stay. It's going to just boom. So,
mm. Free investment advice from Michelle.
oh God.
Arca G for anyone interested. But the book is also good. I'm gonna listen to it starting tomorrow. But I
Are you going to
appreciate it.
post that? Are you going
Yeah,
to
I'm
post
gonna
that?
post. I'll post the yeah, I'm definitely gonna put it on my Patreon. But I'm gonna make a video for
Okay.
YouTube about CRISPR. Um,
Okay.
because I did a video on a bunch of the stocks that I think people may benefit from over the next decade. And when you take the sponsors out of it, this we go off tangent, but that's good for podcast. When you take the sponsors out of the equation, if you're just an investor, okay, and look, guys, I'm going to do a separate podcast on this topic because with opportunities, with more opportunities, is going to come more income. It's just how it happens.
Right.
You've got to take some of this income and transfer it into wealth somehow.
Yeah.
I'm not
That's
telling
true.
you what to invest in, but we're in a boom decade. But when you take the sponsors out of the equation, because investing in sponsors is kind of risky, because you're depending on the FDA approving or not. So it's risky, but you can make a lot of money too, but it's risky. I think the low risk way to take advantage of of research, for the next decade is going to be investing in the CROs, like all of them,
Mm.
all of IQVIA, Syneos, PPD, and then the new Icon PRA. The cheapest one as of the time of this recording is Syneos by far,
Oh wow.
and you can't tell me that they're that much less innovative than, let's say IQVIA, which is the most expensive. I mean, they're basically doing the same thing. Just one
Yeah.
has more market share than the other, but does that reflect the PE ratio? It doesn't. So the CROs and then like the tech companies, like the big one is Viva, right? VEEV is the symbol. And then I throw in some of these um, CRISPR related, um, gene therapy related companies. There's one called Pacific Biosciences. They don't do they're not involved in clinical trials as a sponsor, but they're involved as a vendor. So they sell the equipment that analyzes the genomes.
Oh wow.
And then you have CRISPR itself, right? Which, yes, that's probably the closest thing to being a sponsor, but they also can sell and license their technology to other sponsors because in the case of CRISPR, they partner with Vertex Pharma. So those are
Mm.
the risk-free ways to invest in research, in my opinion, but not financial advice. And just stay tuned to the videos. But yeah, to answer your question, long story, I will do a video on CRISPR after I read this book.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Dan. I gotta go, but thank you for this
Thank you, Michelle.
opportunity.
I
Yeah, I'll be
appreciate it.
talking to you.
We
Yes,
definitely
yes,
will. We definitely will. Thank you guys. And Michelle's LinkedIn is underneath the bio, so go network with her. And I really appreciate your time, Michelle. Thank you.
yes. Thank you.
Bye
Okay.
bye.